Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do you have Islamic questions that you would like to know the answers to, but unfortunately have no access to ulama in order to ask them? If so, then join us on Ummah Radio every Thursday evening at 8:30 p.m. GMT for the live questions and answers show with myself, Abu Musab, where you can ask your questions directly and inshallah find the answers to those questions. For more information, visit Ummah Forum on http www.ummah.com/forum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Of you to get married, obviously if both of you are from non-Muslim backgrounds, then naturally you would not be having much Muslim family. So we know, and this has been mentioned in a couple of previous shows as well, with regards to the wali, the guardian, where marriage is concerned. So here the girl, as is mentioned by the ulama or the scholars of today, they mention that the girl can make the local imam as her guardian. So the imam acts in place of her guardian and will be representing her. So that is the way it can be done. So a simple matter, you are both Muslim and you just have your marriage conducted in the masjid by the imam, like any other Muslim would do. There is nothing fancy or special or extra that you need that other Muslims don't have. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, we have another question over here. My first one is regarding work. I, from a young age, have wanted to join the police and now an adult and still like the job. My problem is I have heard different opinions. Some say it is helpful, some say it goes against Islam. Can you please tell me, is it okay or not? Okay, when it comes to joining the police and things like this, you have to look at what is the job of a policeman. When you are a policeman, then you are, as you can say, you are forced to uphold the law of the land. And the law of the land, in more cases than not, it is not in conformity with Islam. So, for example, if let's take just a random example. Let's say some Muslims were complaining or speaking out against homosexual marriages. In Islam, 100% correct what this person is doing, because homosexuality is rejected and condemned in the worst of terms. But now in Western society, homosexuality is accepted and you can't be homophobic by speaking against it. So a person may decide to report you to the police, and then you, as the policeman, you will be told now to go put a stop to this Muslim, bring him in, or whatever the case may be, tell him off, things like this. So you will be forced to uphold the law of kufr. And this is from one angle. Then there are the other angles, especially with nowadays the anti-terrorism laws, where there's a lot of crackdown on Muslims. So you will have to be part and parcel of all these type of things here. You know, somebody posted a question just the other day, not a question but a statement, a quote from one of the kitabs. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, when he was in the jail, the jailer said, you said something about supporting the tyrants. So he asked, me being the jailer, am I what is called an aid, a supporter of the tyrants? So Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said, no, that's not right. You are not a supporter of the oppressors. The supporter of the oppressors are those who cook your food, who comb your hair, who wash your clothing. These are supporters of the oppressors. As for you yourself, you are one of the oppressors. So the jailer, who, as you can say, is simply like the policeman, he's upholding the law, and that law is now to put people in jail and things like this. So from the statement of Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, you can tell that you being a policeman and having to uphold the law of kufr when it contradicts the law of Islam, you are going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place, because either you land yourself in problems with the police or whatever the case may be. So as far as possible, a person should avoid these things. It is not befitting for a Muslim to be joining the police force and things and having to uphold things which are contrary to Islam. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question. My other question is music allowed in Islam? What about drums, etc.? Please explain. When it comes to music in Islam, then to put it in a one single statement, no, music is haram, it is not permissible. In the famous tafsir of Hadrat Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, the famous it must have been posted probably about 100 to 200 times, or if not more, on Ummah forum itself, where the ayah وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْتَرِي لَهْوَ الْحَدِيثِ لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, the ayah from Surah Luqman, wherein Allah says وَمِنَ النَّاسِ, and amongst the people there are those who purchase idle talks in order to لِيُضِلَّ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, to lead people astray from the path of Allah. Hazrat Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu commented on this ayah and said this refers to music, and as you can say now, this music that you are questioning about. So this is, as you can say, proof from Quran. From the ahadith perspective, there are numerous ahadith that are on the topic. There are so many times يُضْرَبُ عَلَى رُؤُوسِهِمْ بِالْمَعَازِفِ, that amongst the signs of Qiyamah is that people will be playing their musical things and dancing girls and stuff like this, and then the punishment of Allah will descend upon them and various other things. So there are numerous ahadith which proves it to be permissible. Likewise, from the perspective of all four madhahib, the Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki and Hanbali madhahib, they also consider musical instruments to be haram. And the opinion of one or two scholars who held the opinion of permissibility, it does not change the ruling, which is blank impermissibility. As for drums, to use this term drums is not entirely correct, because when in English environment, when you talk about the drums, then a person thinks about a drummer sitting with all his drums around him, beating a tune away. So this type of drums is not permissible in Islam. The only, as you can say, musical instrument that the Sharia, that the ulama have said there is permissibility for, that is what is known in Arabic as the duf, and this is hit on occasions of weddings or occasions of happiness, and in jihad as well. This, like I say, it's termed in Arabic as a duf. It looks a bit, how to say, I don't know what it's called in English, but it looks like a tambourine but minus jingly bits. So that is what a duf is. It's not a standardized drum that you hit with drumsticks. So that duf is what the ulama have given permissibility, also with certain conditions. You find many of the ulama, an effeminate man is one duf. A normal masculine man, he does not beat the duf. So there are a lot of conditions and things that the ulama have put down, even for something like the duf as well. So a person should avoid these things as far as possible, but since the Sharia has left a little bit of a window of laxity with regards to the duf, therefore we leave it like how the Sharia has left it, and we will say that amount is permissible, but not any other musical instrument. And likewise, nowadays you have all these things like beatboxing, which is made by sounds only. There's no instruments involved. This is what is termed as tashabbuh bil haram, imitation of haram, and that which leads to haram, imitating haram, it also becomes just as haram as the original. And you will find this same fatwa given by all the ulama, Mufti Ibrahim Desai, Sheikh Salih al-Munajjid, and various other ulama. They've also given the fatwa of impermissibility for these things. So regardless of the fact that it is not an actual musical instrument, but the fact remains that it is technically music, it resembles music. A person who doesn't know wouldn't know the difference between musical instruments being played or a person doing this beatboxing. So therefore, this too is out of the question with regards to permissibility. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question. My nikah was done over a year ago. I haven't seen my wife since. Is my nikah still valid, or do I have to do it again? Okay, the seeing of a person's wife is not a condition for the validity of the marriage. Some people have this misconception where they feel that if you don't see your wife for 4 months or something of the sort, then automatically your marriage breaks. This is incorrect. you can be away without seeing your wife for 7 months, for 7 years for that matter, or 70 years too. It does not affect the validity of your marriage. So despite the fact that you have not seen your wife in a year, your marriage will still be intact. You will not have to redo it. Obviously, I assume that there was some other circumstances which have led you to not be able to see your wife for a whole year. But if there is no other circumstances involved, then a married couple should not be separated for, as you can say, all willy-nilly without some proper Shari'i excuse, because as a husband and wife, both have, as you can say, rights in the Sharia, and unless it's something which is mutual, both understand it and things like this. That's why I say, depending on the situation, there can be a bit of scope of leniency on that, but a husband and wife is meant to live together and fulfill each other's rights. Wallahu a'lam. But no, in simple terms, your marriage is still valid and it will not be invalidated by the 1 year absence. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question. Can mahr be discontinued and cancelled if it is agreed between the husband and wife? As far as mahr goes, according to the Hanafi madhab, this will not be permissible. The hadith the Hanafi ulama use is the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "La mahr aqalla min 'asharati darahim," that there is no mahr, no dowry, less than 10 dirhams. So therefore, the Hanafi ulama they say that if you make and say any amount less than 10 dirhams, or you say let's not have mahr at all, then this condition of yours falls to the wayside and you will have to give something which is known as mahrul mithl, and this amount will be calculated based on, like, this woman who you're getting married to, the female members of her family, what mahr they had gotten for their weddings. Her mahr will be calculated similarly according to that amount. So no, according to the Hanafi madhab, the mahr cannot be discontinued or cancelled, but rather you have to give at least this minimum amount of mahr, which is 10 dirhams. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question has come in. Is voting haram? Okay, when it comes to voting, again, similar to the question of the police force earlier, voting is democracy. Democracy, to put it in simple terms, is a religion other than Islam. Many people may be in awe of democracy, but democracy is the law, as it says, the law of the people, for the people, by the people, or however they term it. While as Muslims we say, inil hukmu illa lillah, the law is only for Allah. Man is not allowed to make laws. Allah is the lawmaker. Allah gives down the laws and we are the ones who fulfill it. We don't make up laws on our own according to our whims and fancies. So when you are voting, then voluntarily voting, then you are part and parcel of this group of people who are, as Allah says, أَفَحُكْمَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ يَبْغُونَ. Do they seek the law of jahiliyyah, of ignorance? وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حُكْمًا لِقَوْمِ يُوقِنُونَ. And who, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ حُكْمًا, who is better than Allah in giving laws? لِقَوْمِ يُوقِنُونَ, for the people who have yaqeen, who have conviction. So for a Muslim, we don't go in for voting for kuffar systems. However, there are some places where it's mandatory to vote. So in cases like this, the ulama have given the permissibility that if you are forced to vote, then you vote for the group which is known as ahwanul baliyatain, the lesser of the two evils. So you have one group who will be harsh on Muslims and another one who will be more lax towards Muslims. Then in this case, you will vote for the one who is more lax towards Muslims. But as a general rule, we don't get involved in all these voting and all these type of businesses. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question. If we do vote, is it okay to support these democratic parties by chanting their slogans? This is similar to what I just mentioned now, that the slogans and things, these are all slogans of jahiliyyah, of ignorance, of things which has no place in the Sharia of Islam. So if you are going to be forced, like I say, ahwanul baliyatain, akhafu dararain, the lesser of the two evils, then you do it according to the amount that is required of you. There is no requirement for you to march down the street screaming out the slogans and things like this. So therefore this will not be correct to do. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question has come inside here. It says the ayah قال الرجلان من الذين يخافون أنعم الله عليهم ادخلوا عليهم الباب فإذا دخلتموه فإنكم غالبون وعلى الله فتوكلوا إن كنتم مؤمنين. What is the significance of this ayah? Why do Mujahideen quote it often? Okay, when it comes to this ayah, this is ادخلوا عليهم الباب فإذا دخلتموه فإنكم غالبون. This is when the two people say, those who يخافون أنعم الله عليهم, they told the other people, enter through the door. فإذا دخلتموه فإنكم غالبون, because when you enter you will be victorious. So when the Mujahideen quote this, then they use it from the angle that basically go and attack the kuffar, because when you attack them, فإنكم غالبون, enter into the battlefield, enter into the town, attack them, فَإِنَّكُمْ غَالِبُونَ, you will be victorious. وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَتَوَكَّلُوا, and place your trust and reliance in Allah. وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَتَوَكَّلُوا إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ, if indeed you are believers, then put your trust in Allah, attack them, and Allah will aid you and you will be victorious. This is the significance of the ayah, why the Mujahideen use it, as you can say, so often. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, next question. Clothing with the Nike symbol, can we wear it? Okay, when it comes to this Nike issue, I did post a fatwa on this on Ummah forum, and it's also available on my blog, which is darulilm.wordpress.com. The name Nike is the Greek goddess of victory, and the swoosh logo is this goddess's symbol. And some people bring up a whole lot of objections which are all baseless. If you read why this name was chosen in the if you go back to the history of Nike, then they say that when this company, this brand name was started, and they were looking for a name for this company, then they decided to go with this one, the whether you want to call it not the advertiser, but let's say the marketing officer person, whatever, came up and said, take the name Nike, it's the Greek goddess of victory, and they're hoping through this name that this will become a successful winning brand. So it's not as though the name was plucked out of the sky, rather it was given with a specific purpose of actually being from that goddess of victory. So it's a name of an idol of kufr, and therefore the ulama have stated that it is impermissible to wear clothing with the Nike logo on. However, it is not obligatory on you now to take those clothing and burn it out or throw it away or whatever. Rather, what you can do, many a times this clothing with the Nike logo, it's done embroidered with cotton, so you can just unpick it and then it will be permissible to wear. This is for people who, because many people have bought already these clothing, so it's they already have it in their possession. It's a different story if you're going out now to buy it, but while it's in your possession, you just unpick it or you remove the logos, however is depending on the clothing and the type of logo it is, then you just remove it and then it will be permissible to wear it thereafter. But as long as it still has that Nike logo and things on, it will not be permissible. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question here. Is it permissible to seek help from the dead? It feels like kufr even to ask. Quite correct. It is not permissible to seek help from the dead. Many people have this belief where they feel you can go to the dead and say, Madad Abdul Qadir, Peer, help me, or some people go and they say, Peer, ask Allah to help me, ask Allah to give me a child. This should be avoided. But when you come to because these people, they say that they avoid kufr by the skin of their teeth, where they say that Allah give these people in the grave the ability to be able to help people, but the dalail, the proofs that they bring up is all baseless, idleness in a barren place. And then you lose, for instance, something of yours, then you call out A'ini ibadallah, aid me, help me, O servants of Allah. Then these people try and imply with this hadith that it refers to the people who, like say the peers and the saints in them who have passed away, but this is incorrect. The ones who help you are various, like Allah uses the angels to come and assist you and help you and things like this, but it's not the dead people who are coming back to come and help you and sort things out in this world. That is an incorrect belief. It is not the aqidah of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah that to go and ask the dead for help. And people coming out with the excuses and things, as the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, al-bayyinatu ala al-mudda'i wal-yaminu ala man ankar, that the proof, the onus of proof is upon the claimant. So the person who claims that the man in the grave has got the power, that Allah has given this person in the grave the power to be able to do X, Y, Z, then you have to provide the proof, what solid, proper proof, where you come on that Allah has given them the power and that they can help you from inside the grave. Then these people use other batil excuses and arguments, like you ask a doctor for help, so why can't you ask the man in the grave? This is so far removed from one another that you cannot even, like I say, you can't even call it logical to use an argument like this. For those of you who sat in for Monday's class, it was our Aqidah class, and we're doing currently from Al-Aqidah to Tahawiyah. And in this kitab itself, I had commented a bit on what is the various types of shirk. Amongst the various other types of shirk which were not mentioned at that particular time, there are other types which the ulama have mentioned, and one of those types is what is known as al-ishraku fil isti'ana, shirk in isti'ana. Isti'ana is to seek aid. Another word you can say al-ishraku fi du'a, shirk in du'a. So isti'ana, you come to a grave and you say, oh person here in the grave, ya fulan, give my wife a child, remove my illness, and things like this. This is not permissible whatsoever. And in fact, Sheikh Anwar al-Badakhshani, he has written quite a nice article on this particular point with regards to seeking help from the dead, and it's quite clear his rejection of it and the background and reasons as to why this is not permissible in Islam. And he mentions it. He says it is where you seek from somebody a need of yours, for such a thing which he is unable to give you. Now, this is the reply to that argument where they give that you ask the doctor, why can't you ask the man in the grave? The difference is, while a person is alive, Allah has given certain asbab, certain like a cause and effect. You can go to a doctor or any man in the street and say, Doctor Saab, I need $10. Lend me $10 or give me $10. Something like this. It's within his power. Put his hand in his wallet, take out the $10 and give it to you. Big difference. Now you go to a grave and you say, Pir Saab, give me $10, I need money urgently. This is a completely different. The man in the grave has got no way of being able to help you. So you going to ask him for money is completely and utterly impermissible, while asking that doctor there who's alive for that money is completely and unrestrictedly permissible. So this too should not be confused. What is permissible is to ask people that which is within their capabilities to help you with. What is not permissible is to ask you things which are outside the realm of human beings. Sheikh Anwar al-Badakhshani, he mentions in this book furthermore about other impermissible things. He say amongst the innovations and the deviancy that has risen in latter times amongst the fake Sufi sects, where you have these I don't think I even need to mention names. There are these fake Sufis are so well known. you just have to Google or YouTube or whatever, and you'll see videos upon videos of them, what all the deviance that they bring about. So he rejects all these type of things in there, with of course obviously the reasons and backgrounds and stuff like that. So in any case, to cut the long story short, no, it is not permissible to seek help from the dead. And like I say, what is permissible is to ask people that is which is within their capabilities. Even a live person, you can't ask a doctor, oh doctor, grant me a child. The alive man, it's outside his control, so therefore it is impermissible. So whether he's alive or whether he's dead, this is not something he has any power over. Only Allah alone has got that power. So you ask Allah and you don't ask anybody else. But when it's those things which Allah has given a certain amount of control and power in the hands of people, then that is permissible. What Sheikh Anwar al-Badakhshani, he mentions that amongst the deviants of these so-called modern day Sufis, some of them, they come out and they say, and this I'm certain many of you have heard before, that Allah has given my Sheikh the power, he looks over, he sees to the rain that comes down and lets the plants grow and things like that. And this is not fake. This is actually these fake Sufis who actually do make these statements. I've read it my own self. So you have people claiming these things here, but this is all just batil. It's false. It has no part whatsoever in Islam, and it is impermissible to believe these things. So in short, it is not permissible to seek help from the dead. And people must not confuse this with tawassul. Tawassul is when you say, oh Allah, you address Allah. You don't address the man in the grave. You go and you say, oh Allah, through the closeness of this person to you, help me. For example, just something like that. This is, you are directing your dua at Allah. And because, let's say, we know Imam Ahmad rahimahullah was a great person. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah was a great person. These are what you could call saints. So you say, oh Allah, due to the piety of Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, help me out of my difficulty. For example, this is permissible. This the ulama of the Ahlul Sunnah have said is permissible. But when you go and you go to Imam Ahmad rahimahullah's grave and you say, yeah Imam, help me, I have difficulties at home, this will be totally impermissible. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, moving on to the next question. Questioner asks, can I be a follower of a madhab and follow Quran and Sunnah at the same time? Because the madhab are from the Quran and Sunnah anyway. 100%. The madhahib are based on Quran and Sunnah. Many people nowadays, they have this, what they throw out as a slogan, I don't follow a madhab, I follow Quran and Sunnah. This is ignorance, because what it implies is that Quran and Sunnah is found outside the four madhahib. Rather, the four madhahib is personal opinion, and which contradicts the Quran and Sunnah. And you find some people who actually do make these type of statements and say the madhahib are based on the personal opinions of people, and it contradicts Quran and Sunnah. How far people have strayed with these statements. So when you follow any of the four madhahib, you are in fact following Quran and Sunnah. Many people, or rather I should say most people, they don't study the deen in depth. So they come across a very thin layer of knowledge, and therefore, like for instance, a person sees a hadith in Bukhari, it says about let's say reciting Surah Fatiha behind the Imam, or making raf'ul yadayn, raising the hands in salah, or tying the hands on the chest, things like this. Therefore the hadith of Bukhari, therefore everything else is baseless. But this is incorrect. You just have to look at the books of the madhahib itself, and you'll find the dalail all there. I always tell people, if you want to know the dalil of the Hanafi madhab and see everything in its order, what the dalil and everything of the highest level, there's one kitab you turn to, and that is I'la Sunan of Sheikh Zafar Ahmad Uthmani, or Zafar Ahmad Thanvi, whichever you prefer, you know him as. In this kitab I'la Sunan, it is because it gives the dalil for everything, the hadith, where it comes from, where it is found, and not only that, but what the muhaddithin have but what the muhaddithin have said regarding it, how they have graded it. Is it authentic? Is it da'if? Is it hasan? All these type of things is mentioned in the kitabs itself. So in this kitab itself. So if anyone wants to know the proof of the Hanafi madhab, that is the one kitab you need to go to, and you will see from there that it is definitely based on Quran and Sunnah. Wallahu a'lam. Wa alaikum assalam. Okay, we got a caller here live.
Yeah, brother. A lot of sheikh told me that I have black magic done to me. So, what do I do?
Okay, when it comes to the issue of black magic, sihr, and things like this, you have these people who are known as raqis, who do ruqya. They remove black magic, and okay, there are many charlatans around who claim to be able to do these things, but many of them are fake. Depending on where you live, America, UK, whatever, there are people. Excuse me?
I live in UK.
UK, okay. There are, I forget the name, I don't know if there's one person called Abu Hanifa or whatever, but if you ask on Ummah forum itself, there are people who have mentioned. Unfortunately, I don't live in the UK, so therefore I don't keep track of these raqis in the UK. But if you do ask there, they'll be able to give you phone numbers and contact details of these raqis who will be able to do ruqya for you. But many a times what people say you have black magic done to you and things is actually in reality not black magic. So for your own self, in the meantime, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught us what you do to protect yourself. You recite Surah Falaq and Surah Nas, which is the last two surahs of the Quran. You can recite Ayatul Kursi, and there are various other Surah Fatiha and other surah from the Quran. You recite this, and this is a protection from you against black magic and against shaitan and all these type of things. And there are various things. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامة من شر ما خلق. Various du'as that you recite in the morning and in the evening. So there's a lot of things that you can use, as you can say, for your antivirus, firewall protection, to protect you against any viruses and malware and trojans coming in from shayateen and things like this. So for your own self, this is what you can do, and inshallah you may see that you have no problem with black magic at all. But if you do find that you are still feeling some effects of black magic, then like I said, you can contact one of these raqis, and inshallah they will be able to help you better. Wallahu a'lam.
Inshallah. Thank you, brother.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you.
Okay, we've got another question over here. Is it against the religion of Islam to trim my beard? I still have a beard, but it is less. This is because of the nature of my work. Our passengers sit in the minicab with me. And also, okay, the first one with regards to the beard was just this morning itself, for that matter. This question of the beard, and in short, like I always tell people, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that wa'aful liha, ahfu shawarib, wa'aful liha, trim the mustaches and leave the beard to grow. So this command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is an authentic hadith, leave the beard to grow. So many people have this misconception also, where they think, I'm told to grow a big beard, that we are commanded to grow a big beard. But this is not entirely correct. We are commanded not to touch the beard. It may seem like a small difference, but at the end of the day, it makes a big difference. Many people, you find amongst some people, they tell the youth, when you're young and your beard is growing for the first time, then cut it, because then it will grow back bigger and stronger and things like that. This is totally incorrect. Because again, this, like I say, it's based on a misconception that we're supposed to have a big beard. You just commanded not to cut your beard, so leave your beard to grow naturally the way it is. So to trim your beard, the Sharia has given you permissibility that when your beard is over 1/1 length, then you can trim it down to 1/1, but not shorter than that. The Hadrat Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, it's mentioned that after he would perform his Hajj and Umrah like that, he would then take his beard 1/1 and cut off what was longer than that. So therefore, this is the basis in the Sharia that you can trim your beard when it is over a first length. But when it's under a first length, then that will not be permissible. Wallahu a'lam. As for the second part of the question, with regards to being a minicab driver, this question was in fact just discussed amongst some ulama just yesterday, as a matter of fact. And they had mentioned that the ulama, when it comes to a man, obviously, you're a man, you're driving men around, no problem, it's a permissible job. The problem comes when you are a man and you are alone with a woman in a car, then here there is a problem, because now it's the one man and one woman being alone, and this being alone with a woman is not permissible. Some ulama had said that you must tell the woman, I cannot take you, go for another taxi and things like this. And others say no, it's not permissible at all. You don't have to tell women you can't take them. You must just whatever excuse it is, or you tell them I cannot ride you. But in short, they say it is not permissible for a man to be alone in a taxi with a woman. But if you're a man driving men, then there is no harm in it. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question here. Some of the scholars have given permission to buy one house with mortgage to live in, but in Quran it doesn't mention. Can you please explain? We have a big problem with this. Islamic bank is also offering mortgage. Please advise. Okay. The ulama giving permissibility to buy one house with this. You see, the problem this comes with is with regards to riba. As long as there is no riba involved, then there is no problem. So all these things which you are taking out with the banks and things, this is in more cases than not, it contains some element of riba, and this is where the impermissibility come in. So regardless of whether a scholar or no scholar tells you that it is permissible, riba is riba, and riba is not permissible. So no person can make what is haram into halal. So therefore, if this transaction contains riba, then it will not be permissible for you to partake of it. But rather you should look for some alternate means or some halal means of being able to buy the house in that manner. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question come. There are claims that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is made from light and that he is still alive, so we can call Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even this shirk. Okay, as far as the claim goes that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is made from light, this is not correct. There is a narration which is, if I'm not mistaken, it's reported by it's in the Musannaf of Imam Abdul Razak, which says أول ما خلق الله نور نبيك يا جابر نور نبيك يا جابر. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to Hadrat Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu and told him that the first thing Allah created was the nur of your Nabi, O Jabir. But this narration is not authentic. Furthermore, they try to use from the Quran wasirajam munira, referring to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a light. This is also incorrect tafsir. All the ulama, basically, they're unanimous. You can look at the tafsir. Hadrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu's tafsir, Imam Ibn Kathir, Imam Jalaluddin al-Suyuti rahimahullah, Imam al-Tabari, Imam al-Qurtubi, Imam Samarqandi, and the various other mufassirin, they all are unanimous, so to say, on this point when they give their tafsir on this ayah, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a light in the sense of guidance, but not physically light. The angels are created from light. Allah mentions mithlukum, you end of the ayah. Inna, I am a human, I am a man like yourselves. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is also created, and not from that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is like an ordinary person. This is in no way a means of degrading or lowering the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like how the poet says, how does that poem go now? الناس كالحجر هو ياقوتة والناس كالحجر. Just to show the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a diamond and the rest of people are stones. So you cannot compare a diamond to a stone. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in being, not light like the angels, but sort like how many people come with the incorrect beliefs and they attribute strange things to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam which are incorrect. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a human being of a very high category and piety and things like this, but no, like I say, when we say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a human, it is not like these people say, you are gustakhi Rasul, you are disrespectful to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a false claim. We have the utmost love and respect for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but that does not lead us to become mushrikeen and make Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam into something which Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has not told us about. Wallahu a'lam. As for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam being alive, then yes, that is correct. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said in a hadith that al-anbiya yusallun, or kama qala alayhi salatu wassalam, that the anbiya, they are alive in their graves performing salah. So, and we know the various other hadith wherein Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when you are far away and you send salawat upon me, then Allah makes an angel who brings that let's say the Urdu word durud, that salawat and salam, it get brought to me. But if you say it by my grave, then I hear it and I respond. So alive in the sense, not in the sense of the human world that you eat and drink and things like this, that not alive in that sense. It's like Allah says with regard to the martyrs, بَلْ هُمْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. They are alive by their Lord, receiving their sustenance. So they are alive, and their life is different to our life, but they are alive still. They are not dead like how, as you can say, ordinary people are. Wallahu a'lam. As for calling on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then no, we make tawassul through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as I mentioned previously, the previous question about calling on the dead, that we say, oh Allah, through the high rank of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, helping out on my difficulty. For example, we know that there is tawassul in various stages and the various types. The ulama have all spoken on it. We know the famous hadith, the 3 people who were stuck in the cave when the boulder fell over the door, and then these people made tawassul through their deeds, and therefore the ulama are all unanimous on the permissibility of making tawassul through your deeds, because the one said about the story about how he stayed there, his wife and children went to bed hungry, and he waited to feed them before his own wife and children or ate himself. And the other person said about his cousin that he had liked and he wanted to commit zina with her, and after, because she needed money and things like that, and then finally he held himself back after she told him to fear Allah and things like this. They all made a tawassul through their deeds, that, oh Allah, if I had done this deed solely and only for your sake, then help us out of this situation. For each one of them, Allah moved the rock a little bit, until finally when the third one had made his tawassul, Allah moved it sufficient enough for all 3 of them to leave the cave. So tawassul through the deeds and things like this, and tawassul through the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is permissible, but we don't call on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and say, oh Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, grant me a child, cure me and things like this. This we do not do. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, and another question over here. Person says, what is the ruling on a person who has no knowledge of the deen but will talk about it as if he is a scholar and will pass fatwas, or will refute a scholar's verdict by saying, I think, or in my opinion it is not correct, or this verdict doesn't make any sense, etc. But he has no dalil for it because of lack of knowledge. Also shed some light upon the matter when someone asks question in forum or somewhere else that he has this certain problem, what must he do? And another person replies by saying, I don't know, but I read or heard somewhere that it is to be done this way, and that's all. He gives no reference, no further explanation, which puts the questioner in doubt and doesn't solve his problem. Very good question, and I've actually written and spoken about this so many times. I've laughed on it, and my words fall on deaf ears. Many people must understand as to what a fatwa is. And unfortunately, Ummah forum is rife with this, where every Tom, Paul and Harry will just come and give his opinion. Somebody will come, is my wife divorced? And every 25 people will come posting in, I think this or this year, or your wife is not divorced, or this. Everybody giving his own personal opinion. And this, in the Sharia, this is actually called a fatwa. You are passing fatawa on this issue. You can say I'm giving my opinion, you can say I'm just speaking, thinking out loud, you can say what you want to, but the fact of the matter is that you are giving a fatwa. And man afta bighayri ilm, there is a narration, okay, there's a weakness in the narration. Imam Ibn Asakir rahimahullah, he reports that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, man afta bighayri ilm, okay, I forget the actual Arabic, I don't want to read something with incorrect wording, but the narration says, فَعَلَيْهِ لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ وَالنَّاسِ أَجْمَعِينَ, then upon him is the curse of Allah and the angels and all of mankind. And there's another similar narration as well. And there's another similar narration also reported by Imam Ibn Asakir rahimahullah. So when it comes to giving verdicts and things, and there are, I think, 2 if not 3 articles on my blog itself. Like I said, the address is darulilm.wordpress.com. You can search there for an article called Speaking About Allah Without Knowledge, and another one called Passing Verdicts Without Knowledge. Both of them very good reads. The one is a translation of an article, and the other one is written by Sheikh Zarabozo. So you can read both of them there. They're very good articles on this topic here itself. It is haram, and I don't say this term lightly, it is haram for a person without knowledge to just come, as being done on a daily basis, where everybody just comes in and says, it's this case, or I think this is sunnah, or I think this is not sunnah, or I think it is like this, or in my opinion it is this, or I heard somebody say this, or I think it is this way. All of this is not permissible whatsoever. That is why Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in the very famous hadith again, Inna Allah la yaqbidu al-ilma intiza'an yantazi'uhu min al-ibad, that Allah will not remove knowledge by just snatching it from the hearts and as you can say, from the minds of people. ولكن يقبض العلم بقبض العلماء, but rather Allah will remove knowledge by taking or causing the ulama to pass away. حتى إذا لم يبقي عالما اتخذ الناس رؤوسا جهالا, until such a time comes when there remains no ulama and the people start taking juhal, ignoramuses, as leaders. رؤوسا جهالا فسألوا فأفتوا بغير علم فضلوا وأضلوا, أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned the people will take these ignoramuses as their leaders, so they will ask them questions on the deen, and these people will answer and they will give fatwa without knowledge. So they themselves will go astray and they will lead other people astray as well. Not permissible, and it is, as you can say, a sign of Qiyamah, because this removal of knowledge, the hadith that among and things like this. So when people are doing it, is a sign of that Qiyamah is close. We know that how many times we hear the story. A man came to Imam Malik rahimahullah, traveled so far with 60 questions or 40 questions, I forget the exact number, and Imam Malik rahimahullah, I think it's 40 questions. The Imam Malik rahimahullah, he answered 4 questions. He told the man, for the rest of the other 36 I don't know. Although Imam Malik rahimahullah, he knew the answer, but he was unsure 100%, maybe 99% sure, but he just needed to check up something, so we told him, I don't know. Therefore, the ulama had said that 1/3 of knowledge is to say, I don't know. And this you can read in that article I mentioned earlier on my blog called Passing Verdicts Without Knowledge. You will find this, you can find the reference over there, that they said, the ulama of the Salaf, they said, but unfortunately today, I don't know is a statement that people don't want to make. So that's why I say every Paul, Tom and Harry just comes along, and because you don't have any knowledge of the deen, people become upset that who are you to call me a layman and things like this and that and everything like that. Completely no care or concern about the evil and the sin that they are taking and doing. There's a narration where if I'm not mistaken, I think Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma reports the hadith. If I'm not mistaken, I think it may be in Abu Dawud or Tirmidhi, but it's in one of the books, Sihah al-Sit, one of the 6 books of hadith, wherein it's Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever interprets the Quran according to his opinion and he is correct, he is still wrong. So when people start doing all these things, then speaking, giving verdicts, but rather speaking things, what you call hikmah, wisdom, they would have wise sayings and stuff like that. But you never will find a man there just sitting and start speaking things like that. In fact, in if he's not he put in jail, perhaps the Khalifa may have such a person executed because he's trifling with the deen. So definitely there is no permissibility whatsoever for the way people carry on today, where everybody just give their own personal opinions on the deen and they think nothing about it, because like they say, I'm not giving fatwa, so there's nothing wrong in it. But like I say, this is completely impermissible. Mentioned again in that same article on my blog, Passing Verdicts Without Knowledge, what is permissible is, like say for instance, a person asks a question that I told my wife, if you go out to your brother again, then you are divorced. Let's say for instance, the person come and ask on the forum, is my wife divorced because she went now to her brother? Then in this case, then you don't answer from your own self as a layman, rather you go to a website, you go to askimam.org, Darul Ifta, darulfiqh.co.za or .com, whatever, I forget the address, and the various other fatwa websites, and you go and you take a fatwa which is on that topic and you just paste it in there. No commentary from your own self, you just give the ruling of the verdict of an alim to this person. This is permissible. But people do this today, and then they go a step further and they start arguing based on what they understand from that fatwa website, and this again is also incorrect. You copy a fatwa, you paste it. That's as far as you go. You don't go in. Now this person say, no, I don't feel it is this way, and then you say, no, I do feel it is this way, and things like that. If you disagree, you don't know, then direct it to an alim, and inshallah he will be able to help you. But in short, it is not permissible for people to give their personal opinions on the deen. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, let's see. Moving on to the next question. Okay, is it permissible to use art as a form of da'wah if one does not have good verbal skills to do so? When it comes to art, then this is what is termed as tasweer, picture making. If your art consists of you drawing cartoons and stuff like this, like you find today many of these Muslim cartoons, Muslim comics and stuff like this, this is impermissible. The person came to Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma and said that I earn my living, or rather, if I'm not mistaken, I think he said his brother or himself, one of the two, that he earns his living by painting. So he was told that you cannot paint animals or human beings, something dhu ruh, something with a soul, meaning a living creature. So whether it's a dead human or a live human, it's the same. But then he said, but he earns his living out of it. Then he was told that take, as you can say, still life. So you can paint and draw about trees and mountains and stuff like this, but loving things, it will not be permissible. So if by art form of da'wah you refer to what is Muslim comics and stuff like this, like I say, you have those websites and things, lots of people writing Muslim men superhero comics and stuff like this, and all these weird sort of stuff, all of this is impermissible. It all falls under the ruling of picture making, which is prohibited in Islam. Wallahu a'lam. If you don't have good verbal skills and you're going to use art, then like how many people do, they do it with boxes and charts and stuff like call out boxes and stuff like this, and they put dawah text in there, or they do video things with the text in like this. You have all these video production programs, Windows Live Movie Maker. You can have the text fly in and fly out and stuff like this, so you can still have your thing looking quite professional that way, using your same text that you are going to use in the comic in that manner. So as if it's a text, it's permissible, but we're now talking if you don't have the good verbal skills as is mentioned here. But to draw pictures and use it as a means of da'wah, this will not be permissible. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question comes in here. I have a question about my khul'a. I was granted a khul'a about a year ago. He never accepted the dowry money back. Is my khul'a valid? He won't talk to me, but his family says he wants to get back together. Okay, this, I don't understand how this... I wouldn't be able to help you on this question here, because you say you were granted a khul'a, but he never accepted the money back. So, was a khul'a really granted or not? This is a case, like I say, when it comes to matters of divorce, then this is best taken by both parties to a local scholar, and he can sit and hear the story in its entirety and be able to assist better, because precision is very important where terminologies and stuff is used in matters of divorce. So you say he said that, and he say no, he said that, and that change of wording can affect the ruling as to whether the marriage actually took place. I mean, whether the divorce took place or not. So it's hard to give a blanket ruling. Therefore, I would advise you to approach a local alim, where both of you can lay your case forward and say, this is what transpired, he gave me a khul'a, whatever, and he can say, no, I didn't give a khul'a, and things, and it can be explained from both sides of the story, because again, no ruling can be given by hearing only one side of the story. So therefore, both of you approach a local alim and you mention the story to him, however the case happened, and then inshallah he will be able to help you and let you know whether the marriage really ended or whether it is still let's call it fixed, still intact. So I would suggest you contact a local alim, and inshallah he will be able to help you better with that. Okay. Okay. Question came here. People say Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't have a shadow. How true is this? There is a bit of ikhtilaf even amongst the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum on this point here. With regards to the shadow of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hazrat Aisha radiyallahu anha, she is of the view that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a shadow, and we know the hadith. She would say that I would know that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was approaching by seeing the shadow enter the house. So they, in clear things that she saw the shadow of a Sahaba, they mentioned again that they were present and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't have a shadow. So therefore you find the ulama having this bit of difference of opinion. Now some other people come out, there's people who say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was light, so therefore because he was light, therefore he didn't have a shadow. But this is incorrect. Rasulullah alaihi wasallam was human, and if for whatever reason Allah decided that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should or shouldn't have a shadow, that does not affect the human nature or the fact that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a human being. So like I say, the ulama differ on this point with regards to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam having a shadow or not. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this issue may be discussed in Ash-Shifa li ta'arifi huquq al-Mustafa, or better known just in English as Ash-Shifa of Qadi Iyad rahimahullah. The English translation is available either online or in bookstores. I think it's translated by Aisha Bewley, so you can read it in there. So yes, inshallah, you can check there. I think both views may be mentioned in there, or perhaps only just the one view. But yes, in short, the ulama do differ on that point. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, moving on. Next question. Okay, since riba is haram, can you please tell me if having mobile contract or car insurance is also haram? When I don't know about mobile contracts having riba, at least as far as the little bit I know about mobile contracts, I haven't seen any riba involved. It's X amount of money, £300 whatever per month, and £20 per month of data, for example, and that is what you pay. Or you as you speak, you pay for the data, so at the end of the month they give you a bill of maybe £200. Any place of riba in many places, or rather in some places, I should say. Okay, rather I should say in some places they have what you call the thing, car insurance, as an obligatory thing, that you need to have insurance, otherwise you can't have your car on the road. Then this is again what is termed as أخف الضررين أهون البليتين, the various terms the ulama use for it, translated as the lesser of the two evils. So it's more difficult for a man and his wife and child to be walking in the street, you know, where they can be attacked by all sorts of thugs and harassed and things like this. Or a single woman, she converted to Islam alone, she has no mahram or anything like this. Now she because of she can't get a car except with this insurance and things like this. This is what is termed as exceptions to the rule. So in cases like this, there will be permissibility that when you are forced into it, you seek the forgiveness of Allah, and you like this obligatory amount, you are allowed to pay that in order for you to have a car, because there is more harm in not having a car than, as you say, it's the lesser of the two evils. You come to more harm by not having a car than by having one. So therefore the ulama had given permissibility on that point for the purpose of necessity. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question here. I am new to this show. Do you hold regular sessions like this? Yes, actually, it's 5 nights a week. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 classes is held all at 8:30 p.m. GMT. Monday, 1 week Monday we do an Aqidah class. Next Monday we do a Hadith class. Tuesdays we do Hanafi Fiqh. Wednesdays we do Arabic, and Thursdays is a question and answer. Then on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. GMT we do Tafsir. So that's the sessions that take place on a weekly basis. Okay, let's see. Next question. Okay, a wife is refusing a husband divorce. What can they do in that case due to emotional feelings rather than anything else? A wife is refusing a husband divorce. This question makes no sense. The husband holds whether a wife wants to or doesn't want to, whether she refuses or dances on the top of buildings. It doesn't affect the fact that if the husband say you are divorced, then immediately a divorce falls. So the refusal of the wife doesn't affect the divorce of the husband. So it's a different story if the husband refuses to divorce the wife. That's an entirely different story, because like I say, divorce is controlled by the man, so the woman cannot give the man divorce. So if the man is refusing to divorce the woman, then there's something that can be talked about. So alright, moving on to the next question. Okay, what about, it says here, what about a woman taking a taxi? No female taxi drivers. When it comes to women taking taxis and all these sort of things, this was actually discussed on one of the previous shows. A woman traveling without a mahram in the first place is impossible. Of that, ulama have mentioned quite a number of times. If a woman has no mahram and things, or there's some necessity, then it's a different story. But just for the sake of wanting to ride around, then that will not be permissible. So now when we come to a case of necessity where a woman finds herself in this situation where she needs to go somewhere and she doesn't have a car, she cannot take public transport, or whatever the case may be, she has no family members who can take her, or no other female friend of hers that's got a car, she's on no way other, and she needs to go somewhere urgently, then in this case, this is what is termed, again, exceptions to the rule. For necessity, there is a little bit of scope, but as a general rule, a woman should not be going without the permission of, or rather without a mahram. So therefore, if there is a mahram, then she goes with a mahram, or the mahram goes and does whatever needs to be done. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, let's see what's the next question here. Okay, why did the children wear amulets? Can you explain this hadith? Amr ibn Shu'aib said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam taught my father and grandfather a dua which we would read before going to sleep to protect us from fear and anguish. We told our elder children to recite this dua before going to sleep as well. But for those children who are not yet literate, we would write it and then put it around their necks. Why not just spray and blow on them? I wasn't aware wearing amulets was permitted in Islam. Okay, two things here. One thing quickly, it's actually Amr ibn Shu'aib an Abihi and Jaddihi. That's how the narration goes. It's the grandfather of Amr who is reporting the hadith. So it's not that his father and grandfather were taught a dua, but rather his grandfather was taught the dua alone. His father is Shu'aib. The father of Shu'aib is the one who was taught the dua by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is a mistake just in the translation. In any case, when it comes to this, I think it's quite straightforward that those children who were young, who could not speak yet, or no recite, they would write down these du'as, and as wearing of amulets, or ta'weez, a number of times, that the ta'weez is proven in the Sharia. What is impermissible is to use things which are from other than the Quran and the Sunnah. All these strange numbers and charts and weird, for that matter, these type of things will not be permissible. Something you write Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and maybe Surah Fatiha on a piece of paper, and this is used as a ta'weez, as you translate it as an amulet, then this is permissible. But it's when you to use, because is from Quran permissibility for it. The tama'imul makruha, as the ulama talking about tama'imul makruha, are those amulets which contain either kufr or shirk or these various other things which are outside the scope and of Quran and Sunnah, or like I say, it's in a different language other than Arabic. So I suppose the question here rather was about the permissibility of wearing amulets. So like I say, the ta'weez, it is permissible in Islam as long as it contains Quran and Sunnah and not or haram or kufr or shirk or these other things which are not Arabic and not from Quran and Sunnah. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question over here. Does the Hanafi school encourage marriage without the guardian's approval? Could you please explain more details about the following sentences? The relied upon position within the school is that the marriage of a free, sane and adult woman without the approval of her guardian, wali, is valid if the person she is married is a legal and suitable match, to her. Conversely, if the person she is marrying is not a legal match to her, then the marriage is considered invalid. What is the meaning of by a legal and suitable match to her? Okay, firstly, no, the Hanafi madhab does not encourage marriage without the guardian's approval. In fact, this particular heading, if I'm not mistaken, it is taken word for word from a fatwa of he had explained how Hanafi madhab does not of the wali. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he mentions there that the Hanafi madhab is there for this scope in the madhab is for those, like you find some women that she's from an un-Islamic family, and so the father doesn't want her to marry like say the father's a drunkard or whatever the case may be, so he's not fit to be a wali, and now he wants to prevent her from marrying someone pious, because like you find enough of these people today. So for such people, because now naturally the father doesn't want her to marry let's say an alim, he wants her to marry the local drug addict, drug dealer over there, because he buys his drugs from the same drug dealer, and if the drug dealer becomes his son-in-law, he can get a good price or things like this. So you have these type of situations. It may not be an everyday situation, but you do find cases like this where the parents are on Jahiliyyah and the child comes onto the Sirat al-Mustaqim. So in cases like this is where this concession of the Hanafi madhab can come in and help these women. But definitely no, the Hanafi madhab does not at all encourage marriage without the approval of the wali, and this goes with regardless of whether the person is of a suitable match to her or not. As for what is the meaning of a suitable match, this is what is known as kafa'a or kufu, or the various terms that is used by the ulama and marriage. And this is some in fact the only madhab, or at least one opinion within the one madhab. The three madhabs, Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, they say that kafa'a is not a condition for the validity of a marriage. We are obviously we're talking here now with the approval of the wali, but, and obviously the same fatwa of the Hanbali madhab as well, but there exists a view within the Hanbali madhab, one view which puts kafa'a, equality, suitability, as a condition for the validity of a marriage. So there are various things where the suitability and compatibility and equality is taken into consideration. One is with regards to lineage. So you have someone who is from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you have someone who is, as you can say, not from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You have someone whose family has been Muslim for 10 generations, and you have someone whose Muslim family has been Muslim for 3 generations. This is what some of the ulama have written in their books, because they've broken the suitability and compatibility down to a very minute level to encompass all situations. Then there's equality and things with regards to profession. Now you have Dr. Saab's daughter, and the next man's son who's let's say a chimney sweeper. So they're not equal from a profession. This thing of kafa'a, equality and things, is this profession now of doctors are being a doctor is looked at as a profession, superior profession, while a chimney sweep is looked upon as a lowly. Okay, people have moved a bit past but this is what kafa'a was there for all these type of things. I remember there was an article on askimam.org on the issue of kafa'a, and if you were to search there, I'm certain you would probably be able to come across that article. It deals with it in more detail if you would like more details on the topic itself. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question. If the Quran can be interpreted in many ways, how do we know the correct interpretation? When it comes to interpreting the Quran, then the correct interpretation we take from the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. There's nothing of the Quran that has not been explained by the Salaf. Like I say, you can look at the tafasir where the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, they had interpreted the Quran, or the A'immah who came thereafter, or from the Salaf, and those from the Khalaf as well who interpreted the Quran. So if you want, like I say, if you want to know one of the, or rather what I would say is a kitab known as Tafsir Ibn Kathir. Imam Ibn Kathir rahimahullah has done a sterling job in that kitab, and I've not come across a tafsir which can equal it. That tafsir, he does first explaining the Quran via the Quran, then via hadith, via sahaba, via aqwal ulama, and poetry and other things like this. So for every Tom, Paul and Harry who comes along and just feels that he wants to interpret it according to his whims and fancies, no, rather the Quran has been around from the time of the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, and they have explained what is there in the Quran sufficient enough for us to understand. There are certain things nowadays which with regards to like and things like this which Allah has mentioned in the Quran, which, as you can say, modern science has opened up, so we now can understand it. The Sahaba radiyallahu anhum understood it, but we can now also understand it in a different light. So this is what it falls under the scope of permissibility. But when you're now taking ayat, like how the homosexuals try and use the Quran to justify their homosexuality and say that what the people of Lut alayhi salam was doing was like this Jahil Kafir known as Da'i Abdullah, what he says that it was male to male rape and it wasn't homosexuality. This man is outside the fold of Islam, regardless of what he claims. So not considered in the deen. The authentic interpretations are, and you don't actually need anything to be added on over and above that. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, that's Skype's questions done. We just move back to the forum again, see what is new. Okay, a husband is following a scholar of the Shafi'i madhab. Wife follows scholars of Hanafi madhab. She moment to come and hold his hand. What's the husband to do? Can he follow the Hanafi opinion in this instance instead of having to repeat wudu constantly just because his wife trolls him? Okay, this Aisha radiallahu anha before going to Salah, and he would not repeat his wudu. Shafi'i madhab, they have their dalil. They say awla mastumun nisa, or you touch a woman, and they use the literal meaning of touching. So therefore they say if you touch, prove and the state. I play for the Los Angeles Lakers, and you play for it. The to following the deen follows her madhab, and has to go every time you have to repeat his wudu. You're falling now the thing because now, and obviously the wastage of water and things like this, because simply he could have gone long time ago to perform his salah. Yeah, the deen is not some game that people should be doing things like that. People should grow up and take the deen serious, because it is not something to play about with. But in any case, the husband, he is a Shafi'i, he will continue to follow the Shafi'i madhab, and the wife, being a Hanafi, she will continue to follow the Hanafi madhab. Because your madhab is that of your teacher, what he has taught you. He taught you how to perform salah, how to perform wudu and everything according to this particular madhab. He is the one you turn to for your answers. So that what madhab he has, that will be your madhab, and you will follow him accordingly. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, moving on. Another question. Can a Muslimah cover her hair with bandana only rather than long khimar in front of classes? Okay, we'll move with this question first. With regards to covering the hair, many people have this misconception. I know the question is not of this following this misconception, but I just feel it necessary, especially with World Hijab Day having taken place and all these type of things. People think hijab is a headscarf, while hijab is not a headscarf. The questioner here used the correct word than just a headscarf. So when it comes to a woman exposing herself in front of kuffar women, the ulama do have difference of opinion on this. In the ayah, aw nisa'ihinna, they women folk. So some ulama, where they say it is mutlaq, it is unrestricted women, so it's you can open your hair in front of your slave and so on, who's a non-Muslim. Other ulama say no, it's restricted to Muslim women. So therefore, if you are by if you can't open yours in front of them. Fitness classes play a matter of covering. If you have to your hair in front of her, then it should follow natural that the rest of your body and things must also be equally as much. So therefore, the fitness classes in front of them will also be a more mixed up issue. But no, in any case, it's not if your body is exposed, then no, it will not be sufficient to just put cover your hair with a bandana. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question over here. Does swimming equate wudu? Okay, where swimming is concerned, according to the Hanafi madhab, again, the Hanafi madhab does not see tartib, meaning doing things in order, as a condition for the validity of wudu. Therefore, according to the Hanafi madhab, if you swim, your arms, feet, face, and obviously your hair as well, you all wash and wipe everything while you're swimming. So therefore, when you swim, you automatically get wudu at the same time. So therefore, according to the Hanafi madhab, yes, swimming equates wudu. According to the Shafi'i madhab, it's a different story. The Shafi'i madhab sees tartib, doing things in order, as a condition for the validity of wudu. Therefore, if you just jump into the water and you start swimming, that will not be considered as wudu in the Shafi'i madhab. But being Hanafis, according to the Hanafi madhab, yes, it will be considered as wudu. Obviously, it's always best you perform wudu in the correct manner with the tartib and everything, but the swimming will be considered to equate to wudu according to the Hanafi madhab. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, next question. I have seen people mentioning mahar at the time of doing nikah. For example, do you, Fatima, accept Zayd with X amount of mahar as your husband? Is it just cultural practice to mention mahar verbally in nikah, or it's sunnah? Also, if it's not sunnah, then at least it's mubah. Oh, definitely it is mubah. There's no doubt about it. And the mahar should always be mentioned, because like I was mentioning on the earlier question when somebody asked about mahar, that you mentioned the mahar, because if you don't mention mahar, you did not agree to a mahar, then mahrul mithl will have to be paid, which, like I mentioned previously, will be calculated according to the females in the family. So when you get married and you say, yeah, everyone's witness, you are being married for 10 dirhams, 100 dirhams, 4,000 dirhams, whatever the case may be, the amount, then yes, this is as you can say, now you have witnesses and everything for this. So yes, there's no, it will definitely be mubah and permissible to do it in this manner. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, moving on. Another question. Person says, when praying behind the Imam during the silent prayers, for example, Dhuhr, Asr, I finish my Fatiha and Surah before the Imam. Now before the Takbir for Ruku', I have some time where my mind is blank, and I often lose khushu' because of this. Is it permissible for me to recite dhikr like Subhanallah in my head until the Takbir for Ruku' to maintain khushu'? Okay, one, at this stage during this qiyam, while you are standing behind the Imam, it is not permissible for you to make dhikr at that point. And number two, you do not recite a surah behind the Imam. I don't know if this is the ruling for all four madhahib, but the one thing is the reading of Surah Fatiha behind the Imam. That is in its place. Hanafi madhab say you don't recite, other madhahib say you do recite, but with the recitation of a surah behind the Imam, that is a different story. And as far as I'm aware, the other madhahib don't say you are to recite a surah behind the Imam either. So you would recite Surah Fatiha behind them if you're following one of the other madhahib, but not reciting a surah. But I'm not clued up really with the other three madhahib, so it's best you ask a Shafi'i, Maliki or Hanbali alim with regards to the issue of reciting a surah behind the Imam according to the respective madhahib. But yes, in any case, while you are in the salah, you cannot while you are standing silent, it will not be permissible for you to start making dhikr, because the place of dhikr is in the ruku' and sujood. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. This is its place over there, and not in when you are in qiyam reciting a surah and Surah Fatiha. Likewise, when you are in sajda and ruku', then it's not correct the other way around to make to recite. Now you want to read Surah Fatiha while you are in ruku'. This way is also impermissible. So you recite when you are standing, and you make your dhikr when you are in ruku' and in sajda. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, number two, if a person is in a state of impurity and is required to do ghusl, however no water is available for various reasons, example being a traveler, fighting in the cause of Allah, etc., how does one approach this situation? When a person requires a ghusl, a obligatory bath, because of whatever has taken place to him, we know, now no water is available, then this person will make tayammum. The normal method of making tayammum, like how you make tayammum when you require wudu, you will make the same tayammum, and this will take the place of ghusl. So you make your tayammum and then you perform your salah in that manner. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, sometimes while eating some food gets stuck on my left hand like gravy or ketchup, etc. Must I wipe it off, or is it permissible to lick it off? It is permissible to lick it off. Licking from your hands and things is permissible because of the hadith wherein it's mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would lick his fingers after eating. So it's not necessary that you have to wipe it off before you can eat it, but rather it is permissible to lick it off as well. Wallahu a'lam. On a particular ruler who aids the kuffar in killing Muslims and doesn't rule by the Sharia in his own land. This I commented on in one of the previous sessions with regards to not ruling by the Sharia. One thing when we come to the ayah of وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ, and whoever does not rule by what Allah has revealed, then they are the disbelievers. Now you find the ulama who say that it is kufr duna kufr, but which does not expel a person from the fold of Islam, one view. And then you have something additional which is known as tashri', making of rules. So coming back, when it comes to tashri', which in fact was mentioned on this previous Monday's Aqidah class, when we did the various types of what was mentioned in the kitab about the types of shirk, one of the types was al-ishraku fi tashri', shirk in making in law making, basically, where Allah has put down a law and then you make your own law instead. You don't want the law of Allah, you want your own law. This is what is known as shirk fi tashri'. That's why it's one thing to if you are making the law, and it's another thing if you, let's say, you go to a court, you're living in the West, and now you to get your right, you go to the court in order for them to give you your right. This is one thing. This won't make this is not kufr. But when you are in a position of power and you are making the law, and you disregard the law of Allah and you replace it with your own law, this is a different story, and this would put the person outside the fold of Islam, because now you are making yourself the lawmaker and not Allah. So this is a bit of a different story, and this I did mention in the past as well. As for a ruler who aids the kuffar and kill Muslims, then this person is a munafiq. Like we know the various so-called leaders, so-called Muslim leaders in the world today, they all fall under, they are all what you call asli munafiqeen. They are those real pure, although you shouldn't, pure is too good a word, but they are basically munafiqeen, the whole lot of them. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question. I know you've been studying, but where have you been? Akhi, hardly see any posts from you. I've been I've been around on the forum lately, so just basically reading more than posting lately. Anyway, next question. I have serious doubts about this. Although some brothers told me it's okay, I still haven't got any authentic hadith to cite its validity. At work, I often see brothers praying on their solitary salah, but upon others entering the room, it suddenly changes from solitary to a jama'ah salah, and they start reciting loudly. Is this valid? If so, can you cite evidence from the Quran and Sunnah for it? If I'm not mistaken, to start a jama'ah salah, you need at least two musallis, the imam and another musalli. Is it valid to start a jama'ah salah and recite loudly on your own under the assumption that someone will join you? Tied to point 1, how can this be valid if you made the intention to pray solitary salah and change midway to jama'ah mode of salah? I was pretty sure that we aren't allowed to change our intentions partway through our salah. Okay, where's this? So it's 3 questions in one, but basically related to the same thing. Unfortunately, I am unable to cite evidence from the Quran and Sunnah for you offhand. So I would say in this case, La adri, I don't know. I follow my own advice and say I don't know the reference to this. But what I can do, I will check up for you, inshallah, and then I will get back to you with references with Quran or Sunnah or the statements of the ulama in that regard. But offhand, I do not know. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, here was next questions. 3 new questions, but the questioner wants it to be carried forward to next Thursday, inshallah, because the inquirer can't tune in tonight and don't want to miss out on the answer. So, okay, then we'll skip these ones until next week, inshallah. We can pass it by. There's a number still left, so we can go through and see how many are left over at the end of the time. Okay, question: how can I identify a good man? Okay, this is a bit of a difficult question. Identifying a good man, this is more better done by the menfolk in your family, father, brother, uncle, whatever the case may be. And they can, obviously, being a woman, you're not going to be in contact with men to be able to see who's a good man and who's not a good man based on the little bit. Perhaps you see someone come deliver the bread and now you think he looks like a good brother. It's difficult to tell that way. So you have the male folk in your family. They check out the person for you, and then inshallah they will be able to tell you whether the person is a good person or not. So there's no way you can find out about whether the person is a good person or not if you're going to start having chats, because you having free mixing chats would basically show that he's not a good person. Okay, we all got our sins, but this would be a sin basically. So he's not that much of a good person if he can fall so quickly into sin. So in any case, best thing to do, you get your men folk of your family to investigate and see for a good person and whether this person is good or not. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question over here. It's 8:31. Are we going by MST, Muslim Standard Time, or normal GMT? Normal GMT. Just always a little bit late due to what you call this thing now, technical difficulties. Okay, next question. What's your view on Sufi concept of muraqabah? Muraqabah, which is meditation, to put it in that translation, is something which is good. This muraqabah is not it may be made famous by the Sufis, but it's not a Sufi thing. This is something which is part of Islam. The basis for it, Umar radiyallahu anhu said, "Hasibu anfusakum qabla an tuhasabu." Take yourselves to account before you are taken to account. Muraqabah is basically muhasaba. You take yourself to account. You think that what all did I do, this and this is what I did, this is what wrong that I did, this is what I should have done, this is what I should not have done, and things. So this is what muraqabah is. So it may be, like I say, made famous by Sufis, but it is part of Islam. It is proven from Sahaba, like through the statement of Hazrat Umar radiyallahu anhu, that take yourself to account. And how do you take yourself to account if you do not do muraqabah, if you don't meditate over what you have done and what you didn't do that you were supposed to do, and what you did do which you weren't supposed to do. So the Sufi concept, to put it this term like you use, of muraqabah is definitely, it's acceptable, it's part of Islam, and there's no a reason for anybody to oppose it. Just simply because it's people term it as a Sufi term does not mean that there is anything wrong with it at all. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, the question, what's this naat that was on right just now? The lines, Ya Nabi salam alayka, Ya Rasul salam alayka. It was really nice. I don't know which nasheed this was. It was not played by me. It's possible it may be in the Ummah radio playlist, which I do not know what was played, but based on what you wrote there, it's possible it could have been Mahir Zain, because I know his songs are played on Ummah radio, because I just approve of Mahir Zain, but in any case his things are played on the radio, so it's possible it could have been Mahir Zain's one. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, moving on now to Skype. Another question over here. Can you make dua in English when you are in sujood? Okay, this question was answered a previous time also on the radio, but as the questioner is new, just repeat it again. The issue here about the dua in sujood was mentioned is that dua in sujood is, if you make a dua in your sajda, then you are supposed to make the dua which are from the Quran and the Sunnah, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana, and so on, and not your own, as you can say, your own things. Oh Allah, give me a red Ferrari and things like this. This type of du'as are not to be made in your salah. This you make outside of salah. Nowadays people have become fixated on it's like it become a fashion that you must make your dua in your sajda of your salah, and many times people don't know how to do it, and then they invalidate their salah as a result of this. When we know from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked that what is one of the times of acceptance of dua, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, dubura kulli salatin, after every farad salah. So after you perform your fajr or your dhuhr or your asr or your maghrib or your isha, then there you have an accepted time of making dua. So any dua that you want to make, rather keep it for after the salah, and you can perform it, you can make your dua there without any difficulties or problems. Then you can ask for your Ferrari and for the girl of your dreams and for whatever else, your sapno kirani and all the other things you want to ask for. You can ask for it all over there, but while you are in your salah, restrict your salah to that which is Quran and Sunnah. Also, furthermore, the ulama have stated, some ulama may differ on this point, but the ulama have stated that this dua is to be made in nafil salah. While you are in your farad salah, you should not be making this additional, as you can say, du'as which are not part of salah. You should not do it in the farad salah. You can do it in nafil salah. Like I said, you do find ulama who differ on this point, but keep your salah as close to what let's say the sunnah method of salah as possible, that Subhana Rabbil A'la is what you recite in your sajda, so you recite that in sajda and you restrict yourself to that. Then after your salah is over, you can make 2 hours of dua, making it in Japanese and Zulu and any other language you want to. You can do it then. It's free, up to you. Any language you want to, it's fine. What you want to ask also, that too will be fine. But keep your things in order, because like I say, if you don't know what you're doing, you can invalidate your own salah. You think you're doing good, but at the end of the day, you are negatively affecting your own self as a result of your actions. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, next question. One of my siblings married a Shia girl and her family are Shia. I had no say in this and it has caused much problems. My family have had to compromise on many aspects of our life as they do not want to upset them. Their family like to free mix, listen to music and lack other Islamic etiquettes, and have often mocked the hadith and said such things as they are made up. I am very unhappy with this, but I am unable to do anything as a single Muslimah. I am seen as a bad person by my family and my brother-in-laws, as I do not like to visit them in their home, as they always sit mixed and laugh and joke and inappropriate with one another. I live with my parents and unable to move out. I always get called Salafi extremist because I do not like to involve myself in their lives. Example, celebrating birthdays in our house and Christmas and other such things. What do you advise I should do? For this, basically, the hadith comes to mind. بدأ الإسلام غريبا وسيعود غريبا كما بدأ فطوبى للغرباء. The hadith wherein Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that Islam started amongst the strangers and it will return to the strangers, so glad tidings to the strangers. And that the strangers are those who stick firm to the deen when the rest of the people go astray. So firstly, Shia are kafir. So the marriage between a Muslim and a kafir is, a Muslim and a Shia is not valid. So that's already from the outset. It's the marriage itself is batil, and they should not be living together whatsoever. But furthermore, all of this, the additional free mixing and music and other haram things which they are taking place in Christmas and so on and so forth, all of this is haram. Rather be the Salafi extremist that they say you are, because being that Salafi extremist will be your means of attaining salvation, inshallah, in the year after, because this is what the deen is about, regardless of what labels people label you with. This is the correct way to go about doing things. So if other people don't like it, be steadfast, be strong, and inshallah you will see the rewards of it in the year after. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, moving on, let's see if there are any more questions. Lot of discussion on the forum right now. Still trying to find okay, further follow-up question. Body end revealed. The question is only about hair, because hair shouldn't be exposed in front of kafir women, I thought. Can you again please clarify this? Okay, hair, neck, everything besides face is part of what should be covered. So a bandana does not suffice this, because bandana would simply just cover the hair, but a woman's neck and so on will still all be exposed. So therefore, if the hair has to be covered, the neck has to be covered, and everything else also as well. So therefore, no, this would not be permissible. Wallahu a'lam. Let me just refresh the thread here to see if there are any more questions. Moving on quickly to WhatsApp to see, to Facebook, Skype to see if there are any questions. Okay, someone say Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. You must fairies amulet question on the question and answer thread post 15. Actually I answered this question as one of the early questions on that, but let me just see if there's any other questions here, then I will come back to that question again. Okay, there's no other questions for the moment, so let me go back to the question itself again. No harm in repeating. Any case, the question was, why did the children wear amulets? Can you explain this hadith of Amr ibn Shu'aib, may Allah be pleased with him, said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam taught my father and grandfather a dua which we would read before going to sleep to protect us from fear and anguish. We told our elder children to recite this dua before going to sleep as well. But for those children who were not yet literate, we would write it and put it around their necks. Musnad Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Abu Dawud, Tafsir ibn Kathir, and Qadi Shawkani in Fath al-Qadir. Okay, what I mentioned last time, and I'll mention it again now, is that a mistake in the translation over here. Amr ibn Shu'aib an abihi an jaddihi, very famous narrator of hadith. Amr narrates from his father Shu'aib, who reports from his father. So it's Amr's grandfather. So it's the grandfather who was taught by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam a dua, and not his Amr's father and grandfather, as this translation say. It's a mistaken translation, but rather it's simply the grandfather who was taught a dua. Anyway, with regards to this thing here, the question was, I wasn't aware wearing amulets was permitted in Islam. So this is what the crux of the matter is about. And what I mentioned was that amulets, as is termed here, normally used as ta'widat, or in Urdu ta'widh, this is permissible in Islam. Some people, they say that it's not permissible, but it's incorrect, as you can see from this narration here, that it is permissible. What is not permissible is when these ta'widat, these amulets, these tama'imul makruha, it consists of non-Arabic. It consists of things which are not from Quran and Sunnah, whether it's Arabic or not. It consists of all these strange charts and boxes and numbers and all other things like this. It contains kufr or shirk or other stuff like this. This is what is condemned in the ahadith. But as for something which contains the Quran, you have Ayatul Kursi, you have Surah Fatiha, you have A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim, something like this in an what you call an amulet, a ta'weez, then this is permissible in the deen. The ulama, it's quite clear actually on this topic. What there's in fact, last time somebody asked the same question, and somebody had posted a fatwa from askimam.org. Unfortunately I don't have the website open at the moment, but if you just go to the website and you search for ta'weez, you can then see the fatwa over there, what the detailed answer, what the references and dalil and everything as to why it is permissible and who say it is permissible and everything else of the sort. So yes, in short, the wearing of ta'widat is permissible in Islam as long as it is kept within the confines of the Sharia and nothing impermissible or haram or bid'ah is introduced into it. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, another question has come inside here. Assalamu alaikum. I have a question for the live Q&A, but okay. If a female has been told that she may struggle to have children, yet nobody can say for sure until she starts trying for a family, is it compulsory for her to tell a potential marriage partner this, bearing in mind that she may actually have no problems? And obviously everything is in Allah's hands as to who He will bless with children. If she doesn't tell him and they do have problems after marriage, will she get sin for withholding information? Okay, wa alaikum assalam. If a woman or a man, for whatever case it may, whichever case it may be, if a person doubts whether they may not be able to have children, then you should make it your duty to let the other person know. The reason being is that this infertility and things like this is valid grounds for divorce in the Sharia. If a woman comes and she finds the husband is infertile, then she could request a divorce on this grounds. Why? Because having children and things is as you can say, it is a right that Allah has given for men and for women both. So if she got married now and now she find no, she always wanted children, but now this guy, he can't have any children, if she wants to stay with him, well and good, inshallah, for putting up and having sabr, Allah will reward her for that. But if she say no, she can't handle it, she wants to have children and things, then she can request a divorce and she will not be considered to be sinful in doing so. So therefore, if there is doubt, then you should mention it to the potential beforehand, so that you avoid all these type of things over here. Naturally, nobody knows the reality until you actually get married and everything, and then you see you are or you aren't able to have children. So to avoid everything, mention it beforehand, because marriage must be free of gharar. There must be no deception, no lies, no secrets, hidden things and stuff like this. If there's something which could affect someone, then it should be mentioned beforehand. What's the worst that could happen? He would turn you down, he say no, you don't want to take a chance, then so be it. Allah will put someone better for you. Or otherwise, Allah may make it that He likes you even more because you had the courage to come out and let Him know. So you, as far as possible, make sure you put all these things out on the table beforehand, so that you can avoid any sort of problems later on in life. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, moving on, there's another question which has come inside here. Let's see a PM over here. What is it? Okay, it says my husband divorced me by text message and expressed to my father and brother he has finished with me and I have to collect my things and move out. He kicked me out of the house 10 months ago. I have not heard from him ever since. Am I divorced? If the situation is exactly as you have stated over here, that he gave the divorce via the text message and he admitted to it, yes, that he wrote the text message, and your father and brother is witnesses that he said he divorced you and things, then yes, the divorce has indeed taken place. And if he kicked you out, as you say, 10 months ago, then your iddah and everything is over. So the way where you are standing right now at this moment, it would be permissible for you to get married to another man at any given time, because your marriage is over and your iddah and everything is all over. So like I said, if this did happen, like is mentioned over here, then yes, your marriage is over and you are definitely divorced from him, and now you can marry anybody else that you decide to marry. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, moving on to the thread again. When is takbir read in Eid Salah and how many times in Hanafi madhab? Is there any case where the takbir is read just before ruku'? Okay, in the Hanafi madhab, the Hanafi and Shafi'i madhab have a different amount of takbirs. Hanafi madhab has 6 extra takbir in the Salah. So you recite 3 in the first rak'ah, 3 in the second rak'ah. The first one you will make you make your takbir, and then now at the start of your salah you read your thana, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarak ismuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. Then you make your Allahu Akbar, hands at the sides, Allahu Akbar, hands at the sides, Allahu Akbar, hands at the sides, Allahu Akbar, and you fold your hands. And then the salah continues, surah Fatiha, a surah, you go into ruku', you get up, salah continues as normal, everything. You recite second rak'ah, now you recite a surah, surah Fatiha and a surah. Now you finish and you want to go into ruku', you say takbir, Allahu Akbar, hands at the sides, Allahu Akbar, hands at the sides, Allahu Akbar, hands at the sides, Allahu Akbar. You go into ruku' and you finish your salah as normal. And that is how the method of salah is, and what the extra takbirs are done in the Hanafi madhab. So yes, the question of the takbir recited just before ruku', this is how it is done in the second rak'ah of the Eid Salah. And this goes both for Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha as well. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, a follow-up question, but why did the children have to wear amulets? Why not just blow a prayer over them? The simple matter, certain things were done to show permissibility. So if things like this didn't take place, people could have come around today and say that, see, they just blew over them and they didn't write out an amulet, therefore it is not permissible for you to write out ta'awidat and stuff like this. So sometimes Allah makes it that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam does something in order to teach us a lesson, and sometimes Allah does it that the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum also do things in order for us to learn that what is permissible and what is not permissible. So here, the children wearing amulet, I don't like this word amulets because it's more associated with shirk whenever a person uses this term, talismans and amulets and stuff like this. A ta'weed is not of these occult sort of business. So I dislike that English translation of the word. I prefer using the Arabic term ta'weed. So in any case, that this usage of ta'weed was there to show us the permissibility that if you want to use a ta'weed, it will be permissible for you to do so, despite the fact that you could have just recited and blown over. But if you want to, it will be permissible for you to how to say it now, the ta'weed, to use a ta'weed. Wallahu a'lam. Okay, that's the final question from the forum. Skype also seems to be empty. PMs are empty. I don't think there are any additional questions from okay, no, nothing on WhatsApp or Skype or the forum for that matter, so I think that would possibly be the last of the questions. Okay, so then on that point, inshallah, we will end here, and next time, anyone who has additional questions, those 3 questions which were said to be delayed until next week, it can be carried forward when the new thread is made. That can be posted in there for the next session. So I will leave it unanswered like the inquirer requested, and inshallah it can be done next time. So then we will end on that point. So before ending, just request everyone, keep the Muslim Ummah in your du'a, the Mujahideen, and we ask Allah to unite the Muslims and unite the Mujahideen, to remove all difficulties and problems which they may be experiencing amongst themselves and with the kuffar as well, and may Allah grant them victory. Muslims around the world. Okay, with no more questions or things, we will end there on that point, and we say وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do you have Islamic questions that you would like to know the answers to, but unfortunately have no access to ulama in order to ask them? If so, then join us on Ummah Radio every Thursday evening at 8:30 p.m. GMT for the live questions and answers show with myself, Abu Musab, where you can ask your questions directly and inshallah find the answers to those questions. For more information, visit Ummah Forum on http www.ummah.com/forum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do you ever imagine what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam must have looked like, and what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's character and ways were like? Then join us on Ummah Radio every alternate Monday at 8:30 p.m. GMT for the Hadith class with myself, Abu Musab, where we do portions from Ash-Shama'il al-Muhammadiyah, better known as Ash-Shama'il al-Tirmidhi, which deals with the physical description of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. For more information, visit Ummah Forum on http www.ummah.com/forum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do you know the basic beliefs that every Muslim must believe in? Do you know if your Aqidah is correct and you are really part of the Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah? Join us on Ummah Radio at 8:30 p.m. GMT every alternate Monday for the Aqidah class with myself, Abu Musab. For more information, visit Ummah Forum on http www.ummah.com/forum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have you ever wanted to learn Arabic but never had the money or opportunity to do so? Well, now's your chance. Join us on Ummah Radio at 8:30 p.m. GMT, which is UK time by the way, every Wednesday evening for the weekly Arabic class with myself, Abu Musab, where we will be teaching Arabic through the medium of the Medina Arabic course book set. For more information, visit www.ummah.com/forum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have you ever wondered what the verses of the Quran means that we hear and recite on a daily basis, and also in what context it was revealed? If so, then join us on Ummah Radio every Saturday evening at 7:30 p.m. GMT for our weekly class with myself, Abu Musab, wherein we do tafsir from the famous kitab Tafsir al-Quran al-Azim, better known as Tafsir ibn Kathir. For more information, visit Ummah Forum on http www.ummah.com/forum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.